Hey everybody, as you can see, we are sitting in front of the shop that is not finished. And today, actually a couple of days ago, I put out on the community page that we were going to do a Q&A for Monday's video, and we got a few questions. So remember, if you're not actually looking at the community pages, to do that, because I think we're going to do this a little bit more often, as I've been getting kind of the same questions over and over again. And this just makes it really easy for me to answer those questions. So I'm really bummed. One of the questions that was that Anna had asked, or Blissful Moments Farm had asked, is with the medical updates, what are your plans to finish before winter and during winter? She says she knows, but she feels like everyone would love to hear it. There are lots of plans. This is not one of them. I am going to address this since we're sitting in front of it and we came out here, and then I'm going to actually dive into that question. One of the big questions that I've gotten is, are we going to work on this at all? So for those of you that follow the channel, you know that I was diagnosed with lupus, which he then renamed RA. He wants to call it RA for now, even though I tested positive for lupus multiple times. And with that comes a lot of fatigue, a lot of all over body joint pain, plus a plethora of other things. But those are what I am really, what are my symptoms. I think they're the worst of my symptoms. And so you've noticed that we have not gotten started on this. And that's the reason why, because of my medical issues. I had a breast cancer scare. I have a precancerous tumor in my breast that we are monitoring and may end up having surgery on that. So we just, with all of that at the beginning of the season, just kind of said, I'm not even going to attempt to work on this. Now, I milled a bunch of lumber last year to finish, to basically finish it. It just really needed to be assembled and some more milling. But what's happened over the season, over winter, that sat, it was not on a really super flat space, and there has been some warping and some bowing. So I'm going to take that material and we're going to build a goat barn. So that's one of the things that we are going to get onto here in the next, starting in the next few videos, is a goat barn for the goats. What we have set up temporarily last winter was this last winter.
The roof on the old goat barn is not great, so
it's got holes and slashes in it.
Yeah.
So it would not last.
So us getting the new goat barn up is going to be very nice and is very important, because
so it's going to have a 10 by 20 center, so the same amount of space that they have right now, which has worked really well. And then there'll be 2 overhangs on both sides that are also 10 by 20, so that eventually we can separate the sheep from the goats in order to provide minerals for them that they need, breed specific. And then over the next couple of years, I'm going to add on to the front of that and have a whole milking parlor, because these are milk goats and milking sheep, so that I can continue to milk them and do it in a more fancy situation than what I am now. Yeah. So that's one of them. Another one that topic that has to be addressed is the shipping container leaks. The windows leak. The divider between the living room and the shipping container leaks. So when it rains on top of the shipping container, and it drains down like that, so that it gets in between that space underneath the treehouse and leaks down. And so I've just covered it all with over last winter, I just had it covered with a big greenhouse tarp, and that held it off, but it has to be dealt with this year. So that's another project that we are going to be jumping on. I am not going to mill the lumber for that. I am just going to buy it so that we can get it addressed and get it done. I have purchased the membrane that will go over the 2x8s for the decking, and then we'll deck it. And so I've got that ordered. I'm just slowly starting to put together some things. but we are going to be working on that. I actually think that will be a really fast project. I talked to a young man that goes to church with us that welds, who's going to come weld the hurricane ties from the 2x8s to the shipping container. But I even actually think that can be an after the fact thing. So we could actually start putting the the deck framing up and get that done. So that's no longer an issue. There will be a bit of an overhang over the front. So that will protect all the windows. Most of the windows are in the front. There's one on the south side, a big one on the south side. That one actually won't have an overhang on it. But I've got some sealant stuff that I'm putting on it that is working really well. I tested it on one window. It's working really well. So that's another project that absolutely has to be done. We picked up a carport for firewood from Costco. So the other big thing that has to be done is firewood has to be cut. So those are the most that absolutely has to be done before winter. Can you think of anything else that has to be done before winter? Oh, we do have to get an area fenced in around the goat barn that has really tall fence. Because the other thing that has happened is in the winter, if you have a 4-foot fence and you get 3 foot of snow, they can just walk over. And before, we've just locked them in the barn because it's cold and they don't want to really go out anyway. They will be free fed, so they'll have big giant bales of hay that they can eat off of.
Yeah, it's funny when it gets cold. They're like, okay, we're going. Oh no, it's cold. We're back inside.
They'll stick their little heads out and then they go right back in. So they want to be in anyway, but the ones that want to escape and eat, Sissy killed a whole lot of my young fir trees last winter by jumping the fence and chewing down all the bark off of them. So they're dead now. We have to go ahead and finish cutting them down, which is a shame because I really like the fir trees. So
on a positive note for that, fir trees do make good firewood.
Well, they do, but they're really tiny. They're small ones, so they're not even worth firewood. Like, they needed to grow a few more years before they would even be worth that. So
well, I try to put a spin on that.
The other thing that we are trying to do is get all of the trees out of the garden area and moved out, because that's going to be milling lumber, either for my son's house if he needs it, or for the shop next year. So what's the plan for next year? The plan to get started on this shop is, can you hold that? I don't need to hold that. Is in the spring, as soon as heavy trucks are allowed to drive on our road, I'm going to order a load of logs, have them brought in, and then I'll just finish milling for this. And this is what we will be working on starting next spring. So this is the area that we've cleared for the new goat barn. You'll have a beautiful view of the lake. Let's see. So I think that answered Anna's question. Vicky asked, when is Kira planning to go back to her dad's house?
In November, because my best friend from high school is getting married in October. So I'm going to go back in November. The plan was September, or at least early October, to get her.
But that changed. So November, yeah. And then when are you coming back?
Hopefully February.
Most likely February, because you want to help bottle feed babies.
I do.
The goats are should be due right around February. They come into heat in October. Pedro, our new boy, will be breeding them, and hopefully he's old enough to. And then after that, this goes into Deerhaven Off-Grid Homestead asked, what are the plans for all the livestock you have this year? So I'm going to tell you what we're keeping over winter. We have 4 female goats that will be bred that we'll be keeping. So we will be milking them as soon as babies are born, which should be in February. Pedro will go to freezer camp. Curtis goes to freezer camp. The little baby, Miss Betty White, who is a menace to society, will hopefully be sold. Or she'll go to freezer camp, because she is she's an escape artist. She doesn't want to stay in her pen. So I just don't keep animals like that. I make decisions very early on. This one's a keeper, this one's not. It's a real bummer that her brother, Mr. Brown, was boy, and then he passed away, because he had the perfect temperament. Very mellow, just hung out, was great. So, you know, if you're thinking about getting animals, people talk about how bad goats are and they won't stay where they need to be and they won't stay in fences. It's because you keep babies like that. So if you have a baby, if it's doing it as a baby, it will do it as an adult. So keep the livestock that's the best livestock for your situation. If, like, I don't have great fences yet, so I need animals that just want to hang out. That's what I need. As far as the sheep, we're keeping Mr. Bojangles and Shirley, for sure. Possibly one more of the smaller ewes. And if Mr. Bojangles isn't big enough, I may not keep Shirley. I may keep one of the other ones. The purpose of the sheep, I do want to milk them, which is why I want to keep Shirley. She's big, she's tall, so she'd be easier to milk underneath. But I have a milking machine, so and she's the most friendly. She's the most laid back.
Yeah, I like her because when we went to shear her, she's like, okay.
She could care less. She was like, okay, you're shearing me, it's fine. And they stood up, and we sheared them standing up. We didn't flip them over.
Yeah.
The other ones were very wild, so we made a call at that point, not that we didn't want to keep them. But if he can't breed her because he's too small and she's too big, it doesn't work. So we would have to, if I want to have lambs in the spring, we would have to keep a shorter one. So that one's kind of up for discussion. The sheep only really come into season in October, so he has to be ready by October. It all just depends upon how much he grows as to whether or not we keep her or not. Or I have to get a different ram. So that would give us 4 goats and 2 sheep to overwinter. And that will be here in this barn. The center aisleway of the barn will basically be a walkthrough. It'll be open. The grain will be set in there. The hay is actually going to be divided into the 2 pens so that they can just free feed off of one. And then if we want to move them to the other side, they can free feed off both. Or if I separate them, then the goats can have one side, the sheep can have the other. Whatever. We'll figure it out. But the center aisle, we are building cages for the rabbits. And they are, the cages are big enough to go over my garden beds. And I'm going to attempt to just cover them and allow the rabbits to dig a little burrow, and then the snow won't be a big deal. But if it is, then we're going to bring them in. So I don't know how many rabbits I'm going to keep, to be honest with you. I would like to start into next season with maybe 3 does and a male and a buck, because they do produce like rabbits and you get a ton. But our goal for this year is to catch as many as we can to depopulate the area of the domestic rabbits that got out of the colony. The hawks and eagles are doing a really good job of that. In fact, we just had a hawk fly over into that tree. He comes and hunts a couple of times a day and is picking off whatever he can carry off. But he's got a bum leg, so he's not carrying off anything very heavy. We do have the mama rabbit with Chuck the buck in the one of the pen that we have, and she has 7 babies and has been rebred. So, you know, you don't need to have a ton of rabbits. I just wanted to grow them out. If you want to keep the pelts, you have to raise them longer, because the older they are, the thicker the skin is. So you have a pelt you can finish out. If you don't care about keeping pelts, then you can process it 8 weeks and you don't have that issue anymore. So I think here for the next couple of years, I'm going to process really early. I'm not going to be as concerned about pelts and until the shop's done, and then we can finish out pelts and stuff in there. But so that's as far as the rabbits. The quail, I will process all my quail in the fall and pick up new quail in the spring and raise them up. And they, from the time they hatch, it's like 6 to 10 weeks, they're laying eggs. So, you know, I can pick up quail they have to be inside too while you're raising them out. So I can pick up 25 quail, raise them in a very, very small space, and have them ready to come out when it's warm enough. So that's the plan with that. But I'm not going to overwinter any. What else? Who else do we have? What other kind of animals do we have here? That's pretty much it. Oh, ducks. Ducks. So here in the next couple of days, I'm actually going to go pick up some baby Muscovy ducks. We are hoping that one of those ducks Donald will fall in love with, and it is a girl, and we can keep Donald and at least a female, maybe a couple of females, because we don't want to get rid of Donald. So until Donald goes, we're going to have Peking Muscovy crosses. The Muscovy ducks will very easily, ducks in general, will very easily hatch out 10 to 15 babies in one hatch. They're very good at that. So the plan is to just, again, hatch out what I want to put in my freezer. That's a very small investment in keeping them fed to a large amount of meat in the freezer. They process like rabbits do, and meat chickens. Within 8 to 10 weeks, they're ready to process. So again, small amounts. And then again, if you want to sell them, if I have enough in my freezer, we'll sell them. So basically the meat that I am eating is goat, lamb, duck, and rabbit and quail. That's pretty much it. So, and they will absolutely be enough meat for me all winter and probably whenever Kira gets back. I'm probably going to have to add another freezer because we have four sheep that are going to freezer camp here soon, and two more goats. So that's 6. And those give you about 30 to 40 pounds of meat each. So we're looking at 240, 50 pounds of meat out of that group. And then the ducks, if I do 10 ducks, 8 pounds each is about what they end up. That's another 80 pounds of meat. And then the rabbits are basically the same. Every rabbit is about 5 to 8 pounds. So definitely be enough of all of those things. So if you're thinking about, a homestead, and my brain always thought I have to raise chickens, I have to have a cow for red meat. I didn't think of these smaller animals that were a lot easier until I got to delving more into it. Eventually I would love to have a cow, or I would love, so in the spring when the babies are born, they're going to be bottle fed. We're pulling them immediately. But they're also going to be put up for sale immediately. And the sale of the babies will buy half a cow or all my hay for the year. So, just kind of make a choice on that. But I don't know. I think that, oh, wait, I think Kelly asked one more question. What are your plans for the shop? So we already answered that one earlier. As far as my medical issues, I am exhausted 24/7. The fatigue is real. And you have had a lot of fatigue this year with your autism.
Yeah.
So we've both been trying to motivate each other to get up and do. We've really been focused on cleaning up. We're prepping for a big burn pile in the fall right before it snows is when you burn. And that's like the last burn of the season. Unless you cover your piles. Some people cover their piles. They let the first snow hit and then they burn. So that is also an option. But we're just doing a lot of cleanup, a lot of organization. The RV is going to be pulled away from the tiny house. The walk-through, pass-through that we built last year is going to be completely pulled down. The deck is going up. So it's just a whole lot of cleanup this year while we figure out medically what's going on. And I think my stamina went from me being able to work 12 hours, 10. I mean, I was always going, and these guys were always like, okay, can we stop now? To I do a little bit and I have to rest. So I feel like we're not getting a lot done, but then I also feel like we are getting a lot done because we're taking care of these issues that were big eyesores that really truly affected the psyche. I hear my grandbabies. They've been gone and they're back, and I'm so excited. I hear them, they're coming. So basically, you guys, I think that's all we have. Let's, if you have any questions, I'm going to end up posting something like this about once a month, I think, and we'll go over all the questions that you have, and we'll just kind of sit down and do one of these Q&As. And we enjoy them. They're easy. We really did take a week, the last few days off, resting. We both needed to rest a lot, and we ran a lot of errands prepping for this barn build. So here they come. Hey, you guys! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
It's the baby! It's the baby!
I missed you so much! Were you in the car the whole time? Oh my goodness, you were gone so long. I missed you. Hi, buddy. Hi. What are you doing?
You just got back.
You just now? Are you guys going to eat?
We already ate.
You already ate? You do smell like hotel soap. Did you have so much fun at your other grandma's house? Mm-hmm. You did? Mm-hmm. Oh, I miss you so much.
Mommy got new shoes.
Look at your new shoes. Those are fancy. Look at you guys. What do you think of that new puppy?
Otis.
Yeah.
Otis is new puppy.
You saw him? Do you love him?
You guys saw him?
Yeah. We've seen him the whole time.
He was not even scared.
What do you think of?
He just showed me.
What do you think of your new house build?
I saw it. I'm gonna see the cats.
Come here, you. Are you missing a tooth? Oh, you are. Look at how cute you are. You gonna go see the cats? Okay.
Yeah, where are they
Priorities.
It's been forever.
It has. It's been like 2 months.
These cats are so big, they're gonna be so surprised.
Yeah, they are. Cats are probably like, what? Who just came in? The dogs now, they're going to be very excited.
Especially Chloe.
Right?
Her
Justin,
cookie dropper
her
is here.
cookie dropper, snack dealer. The goats, the animals need some hay. So we got to throw some hay over to them. Check everybody. So we're going to take off. See you guys later. I guess we'll see you on Wednesday. Maybe we're actually building a barn. Tuesday. Oh, Tuesdays are live. So hopefully you'll be here tomorrow night for our live. Bye.
Today's Sunday.
Whatever. I'm off on all the days.